What's going on, everyone? Austin John Plays here, and today I want to talk about the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advanced app on the Nintendo Switch expansion pack, and what that could mean for the future of classic Pokemon games going forward. This is something that I have talked about sporadically over the last 2 or 3 years. And every single thing that I was talking about then is starting to come more and more into fruition of it making more sense and it being more of a complete idea in my head. So I wanted to share it with you guys. Here it is, one concise thing, what I think could happen, what started off as just a dream, but parts of it are starting to come together. The first bit of this comes to the fact that the Nintendo 3DS eShop is going to be discontinued very shortly. Oh, there's news about the 3DS eShop. Is it that it's going to be discontinued on my 3DS? No, it's that Kirby Planet Robobot demo is available. Okay, if you're not familiar, they plan on closing the Nintendo 3DS eShop, and they made it so you can no longer add funds to the 3DS. However, if you're linking your Nintendo account and your 3DS account, then you can access those funds inside of the 3DS eShop. Once you choose to purchase a piece of software or download a free piece of software like Pokemon Bank, for example, then you're going to have access to re-download it in the future. From Pokemon Bank, you can download the Poke Transporter, which is used for the older games Black, White, Black 2, White 2, to bring your games over to Pokemon Bank. After the 3DS eShop goes down, then you're going to be able to use Pokemon Bank for free indefinitely. Right now, I think you can't, or you have to in order to download Poke Transporter. Not 100% as far as how that goes. Now would be the time, if you haven't already purchased a copy of Red, Blue, Yellow, Green, Crystal, Silver, or Gold, that's the one I'm missing, then now's your time to do that. Now, in Pokemon Home, any Pokemon who came from these games is going to have this origin mark, symbolizing that it came from the digital version of the Game Boy games. Like this Charmander, for example, if I go and I check its summary, you're going to see that I have that Game Boy icon right there. As it stands for right now, this is the only way to get Pokemon with that icon. Also inside of Pokemon Home are the research tasks. These research tasks are based off of the individual games and regions. So we could assume that when Pokemon Home is going to be updated, we're then going to be having the region for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. But there's currently no research tasks for any of the games or any of the Pokemon from origin marks from the 3DS, including the digital only Red, Green, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, Crystal, right? You're following along, we're doing great here. They just announced that the Game Boy is going to be available for anyone who has Nintendo Switch Online, and Game Boy Advance for anyone who has Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack. The games inside of here are going to be updated regularly, like we have seen for the Sega Genesis Master System, the N64, the NES, and Super NES. How often the games are coming, when they're coming, that's still yet to be seen, but we have a bunch of games already available in here. Of which Pokemon titles, they announced that the Pokemon trading card game is going to be coming to this, and that was it. However, they did announce that for the N64 app, they are going to be making Pokemon Stadium and Pokemon Stadium 2 compatible. Now here's the thing, if you're playing Pokemon Stadium or Pokemon Stadium 2, you're only going to be able to use the rental Pokemon, and the rental Pokemon are not optimized in many different ways. It's basically, do you want a Blastoise with Bubble Beam, or do you want a Wartortle with Surf, or do you want a Squirtle with Hydro Pump? It kind of works like that. And one of the joys of this was using the transfer pack, I think I have one right here, of using your Game Boy Color, taking your copy of Pokemon out of it, putting it inside of the transfer pack, which then plugs into one of the controllers for the N64, and then you can access your Pokemon from that game. That's a very large feature from Pokemon Stadium and Pokemon Stadium 2, and as it stands right now, that entire methodology, that entire thing, is not going to be able to be functional. In addition to that, in Pokemon Stadium, you were able to play the original Game Boy games with the controller attached in what was called the Doduo Game Boy and the Dodrio Game Boy, which is basically just an emulator that read the game and allowed you to play at 2 or 3 times speed. It was pretty helpful for playing through the game for subsequent playthroughs and a bunch of other random stuff, right? So if you're following along, all of this information is kind of leading up to one single solitary idea. We are eventually going to be getting Pokemon Red, Green, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, Crystal coming to the Nintendo Switch. We already have the emulators in place for it. The emulators run pretty great, honestly. Like I don't really see anything wrong. They work much better than Ocarina of Time N64 emulator did. So it's only a matter of time until we have Pokemon games from the Game Boy series available for the Nintendo Switch. How is that going to be implemented? And is it going to be compatible with Pokemon Home, or is there going to be another piece of software to import those Pokemon? In addition, is Pokemon Stadium then going to be able to see that additional piece of software, or is Pokemon Stadium going to be able to run Pokemon Bank and use Pokemon from there if they have the proper origin mark? Considering Pokemon Day is at the end of February, in the year 2019, we had a Pokemon Direct. That was when Pokemon Sword and Shield was announced. And then in 2020, we had a Pokemon Direct coming out January 9th because the Animal Crossing Direct was in February. But in 2021, we had a Pokemon Presents on February 26th. And then in 2022, we had a Pokemon Presents on February 27th. Every year for Pokemon Day, which is the very last day of February, there is an announcement or celebration that we have seen unless there's some sort of other direct in place. In the year 2022, the 27th was a Sunday, which is typically not a day that they do any sort of presents whatsoever. And the year 2021, the Pokemon Direct was on the 26th, and that was a Friday. They have done them on Fridays, although it's typically Tuesday through Thursday. The Pokemon Presents doesn't care about that. It's more of a calendar fixed thing than a day of the week fixed thing. So, my prediction, February 26th, 27th, or 28th of this year, we are going to be having a Pokemon Direct. Considering that the 27th is a Monday and the 28th is a Tuesday, and the 26th is Sunday, I'm saying the 26th or the 27th, we're most likely having that Presents, where we may be getting DLC announcements for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. There may be the software patch for that game available. There may be a raid event going on in the games at that time, because this Tandem Mouse raid that we just had was the first one that took place outside of the regular scheduled Thursday through Sunday, or internationally Friday through Monday. Throughout the next year or so, I think that we could see Pokemon coming to either the Game Boy app or, much more likely, a separate app that's going to be available on the Nintendo Switch that is going to have all of the classic Pokemon games on there. Probably not all at once, but maybe they'll trickle them in. And I have a feeling that if that is the case, that app is going to be exclusive to Nintendo Switch Plus expansion pack. It's probably something they have to work out, figure out the details on how they're getting a cut of that, or maybe it's a separate DLC payment thing that's covered under ESO Plus. There's a lot of business questions handled one way or another, but what makes the most sense from a business angle is that for this subscription model, that's, the $50 a year, $80 a year for the family plan, you're then going to have access to these Pokemon titles. You're going to be able to transfer them into Pokemon Home or subsequent software, and then once Pokemon Stadium is on the Nintendo 64 app, which again is only for the expansion pass, you're then going to be able to use Pokemon with the origin mark from these games in that game. Whether or not you're going to be able to use the Doduo or Dodrio Game Boy is a whole nother question. It'd be amazing if you could, to fire up Pokemon Stadium on your Nintendo Switch and use the Dodrio Boy to be able to play Pokemon Red, Green, Blue, Yellow at triple speed. I think that'd be fantastic. That would be fantastic, 100%. That's gonna require some real internal stuff going on, but hey, if they can make GoldenEye 64 multiplayer online, then they can do a lot of stuff, can't they? We'll see how far-fetched of a concept this is after Pokemon Day. If Pokemon Day they do not announce that these games are coming to the Nintendo Switch within a certain announced timeline, I'm then 100% going to be going into the eShop and making sure I go ahead and purchase all of these games, because that's going to be the only way at the current point in time that I can have those Pokemon with that origin mark in the future. And gotta catch them all, right? I want to know what you guys think. Is all of this starting to sound too much of a conspiracy theory, like Space Chicken? Or are all of these things coming together more and more and starting to make more and more sense to the point that it's just a matter of time until this is on this? I want to know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. If you found this video informative or helpful, or I'm starting to go a little Charlie Day with this, let me know. Thank you so much for being here. Can't wait for this Pokemon Presents. Until next time, Austin John out.
Man, they see me shining like I got the charm. Stay strapped, got that jet ball in my palm. Fell from the sky, guess I'm the chosen one. And if you need to know how, check out Austin John. Champion flow, flow, yeah. I got that champion flow, flow.